Hi there guys, so today we're going to be test driving an Audi TT RS. It's a Mk2 versus a Gen 1 R8. You may be thinking, can we really compare these two cars? Obviously exterior wise we can't, but there's more similarities than you might think. I mean, they're both made by Audi, 18 months apart. They share the same entertainment system. They have similar seats. They got the same 0 to 60 claim time. The TT has been remapped by us, so it has similar BHP figures. It's actually got way more torque. And a bit unique to both cars, but they're both black, they're both manual, they have similar mileage. I mean, on Tinder, that'd be a perfect match. Let's see how it is in reality. So first impressions in here. It's smooth, it's what you would expect from an Audi. I mean, the interior is lovely. You got buttons everywhere, so if I want to turn on the sports mode, hit a button here, that's on. If I want to turn off the traction control, button here. Everything's buttons, no scrolling through the menu to find what you want. Everything is where you'd expect it. And I believe that Audi's been smashing interiors for a long time, especially on the Audi TT. So on the Mark 1 TT, 25 years ago, that interior was magnificent. In here, everything is similar. They've kept it very similar on the R8. They've kept it very similar. The Mark 3 TT, the first Audi to have a virtual cockpit, they always seem to spend a lot of time and investing on the Audi TT. Well, what is there to say about the 5-pot engine? It's an absolute masterpiece. It really is. There we go. Kick in the back of the head. I have nothing to say about that. It's just brilliant. Especially for a turbo engine. Normally, especially with the twin turbos, you don't have that boost all the way to the red line. But in here you do, because it's a single turbo, so it's a bigger turbo. So you get a bit more of a lag, but then when it goes, it just goes. It's brilliant. The characteristics of this engine are brilliant. And this is why the 5-pot engine has won the Engine of the Year award for 9 years running in its category, because it's that good. Just ferocious. The traction control light is going off on a 4-wheel drive car. It's just ferocious. The acceleration is lovely. The pickup on this engine is something else. It really is Audi's masterpiece. She handles really well. Based on what you read online, you'd think Audi's TTs can't handle at all, but this is really good. I mean, what lets it down a little bit is the steering. I mean, it turns and it's okay. It doesn't have those mechanical sensations that I normally talk about in the review videos. It's just lacking that little edge. And I think it's a bit of a shame, because this car has the potential to be an absolute masterpiece, and that lets it down a little bit for me. If anything, the whole car is just a bit too soft. It's like it was engineered for the road and doesn't have that track emphasis that it probably should have with this 5-pot engine. I mean, the engine is a masterpiece, but then the package just feels a bit too dulled down, unfortunately. I mean, it's a masterpiece of an engine and a bit of a soft package, unfortunately. I think Audi could have done a little bit more. I think they could have done a little bit more. So here we are, guys, in this Audi R8. So first impressions, I mean, it's a really wide car. It's got sense of presence, sense of occasion. Even here, It does look similar to the TT in certain aspects, but it's just more grown up. You have more space between you and the passenger. It feels like the cabin has more space inside as well. Just the layout of the buttons, you know, typical Audi interior, the hydraulic steering wheel, the weight of the wheel in your hands, the clattering of the gearbox. It's just, I can tell it's a special car already. This engine really is really good. It just loves to rev. When you tap the accelerator and you got, all hell breaks loose. It's just so progressive up the rev range. It's really good. And when you get to a corner, it's like the corner's not there. You're not tickling the car. It's barely doing anything to it. Downshift. It's really good. Look, another corner. Nothing. Like, literally, like the corner's not there. Red line, red line. Clap from the gearbox into another gear. The brakes are superb, absolutely superb. You hover over the brake and you have that sense of presence. You know it's going to brake. I mean, when Audi did the V10, they used the same brakes because they're that good. Even though this car's got 200-300 kilos less, they use the same brakes on the V10 because the brakes are that good. The ride, I think Audi absolutely smashed it in the way it rides. I know people don't like the mag ride and there's a lot of bad press, but there's not enough praise for the mag ride. When you're in traffic, it just glides. You sort of forget that you're in an Audi R8. It just feels like you're in a normal Audi till you look at the mirror and then you smile. But when you get to roads like this, you sort of think that it's not going to handle well. It's not going to have the handling abilities, but it does. You don't even have to hit the mag ride button. It handles superb. It takes corners with a composure and a poise that you don't get in other cars. It's incredible. The steering is superb. The way it just turns and glides and it sort of takes corners like they're not there. It's a very hard sensation to explain. In a normal car, you wouldn't go at that kind of speed because Audi gives you a sense of security. You know where you are on the road. It almost makes you believe in your driving abilities a bit more than other cars. Yes, it doesn't have the feedback that you get on the Porsche through the steering wheel, but the package is so complete. So is an Audi R8 a supercar? Well, it depends on your definition of a supercar, because there's not a minimum BHP level to enter the club. I used to think if you can see the engine through the back of the car, that's a supercar. But by that definition, a GT2 RS is not a supercar. And I know for a fact that's more than a sports car. I've heard people say it's when kids point and stare. I used to have a base model, Lotus Elise, and kids used to point and stare. But I don't think that's a supercar. But whatever definition you want to go by, kids point and stare at this car, you can see the engine, people see it coming. It's definitely got the supercar looks. It's got more BHP than a Ferrari 360 as well, and that's a supercar. I do agree it's got a sports engine by modern day standards. I do agree with that. But you got the supercar looks, sports car maintenance, open gated manual gearbox. Sounds pretty good to me. So how does this compare to a V10? Well, as you probably already know, a V10 is a Lamborghini engine and this is an Audi engine. And a V10's got about 100 bhp more. But, you know, we always want more power, of course. But I quite enjoy it in here. You've got plenty of power for UK roads. And I like getting closer to that red line. I like trying to squeeze every bhp out of the engine. And the more power you got, the less likely you can do that. And if you got power but you don't use it, it just becomes interesting pub talk. That's all it is. The gearbox is another level. It really is. It's just the throw is lovely. The clutch is lovely. The way it feels on your hand, the clack that it makes. It's almost like, that's it. It's almost like an acknowledgement. Yes, it's in gear. It's so rewarding. I thought changing gears and finding a slot was going to be a nightmare, but it's not. This is Audi engineering. It's just brilliant. You don't have to look. It just slots in. You get that acknowledgement that you're in gear, and off you go. I think it's one of the best gearboxes I've ever driven. How does the engine compare to a TT? It's very hard to put into words the difference between a naturally aspirated engine and a turbo engine, but I will try. With a turbo engine, you can enjoy the car more often, pretty much on any road. The reason being is because I believe that we're chasing near misses. With a turbo engine, the part I personally enjoy is up to, say, 4,000 RPM. You sort of get all that boost, all that theatre, slight kick, and that's it. And you sort of get the feeling of, oh, look at what my car can do. But like anything else, it's like going on a 4-part ride over and over again. Eventually, you get bored. And that's why I believe that we keep tuning cars, turboed cars. We keep adding mods because the buzz wears off quick. Whilst in here, you have power low down. Any gear, you have power. The rev range is wider. But the most enjoyable part of the engine is when you get closer to the red line. So even if you get bored of the low down power, which you will eventually, you don't get to go close to that red line on any road. So when you do, it's such a rewarding experience. I personally think that the best time I've had in a car is when I'm trying to squeeze every bhp from the engine and letting it roar. That's the part that engages me. And that's why, for me, it's the NA engine any day of the week. What makes the R8 so special is that nothing else drives like an R8. Nothing else. It's very unique in its driving ability. It's got driver swagger with the comfort. It's two aspects that don't normally mix together. It's an engineering masterpiece how they managed. The only downside is it doesn't have crazy feel from a steering wheel as you do in a Porsche. At the end of the day, it's an Audi, you expect that. But it's way better than the TT. And that's due to the hydraulic steering. I'm a massive fan of hydraulic steering. I know with electric steering, you've got buttons to adjust how it feels, but I want my car to feel the same every day of the week. I want the steering to feel the same. The thing is, we expect a lot from cars these days. We expect it to be comfortable. We expect it to handle well. We expect it to have good acceleration. And Audi has done everything and then some in here. It's that good. To conclude, yes, on paper, these two cars are alike. But in reality, they're not. I mean, a TT, as I said, it's got a masterpiece of an engine. Not up for debate. But it's a jack of all trades and the master of none. It's not a track car, it's a bit too soft. It's got 4 seats, but you can't use the back seats. It's not a track car, it's too soft. It's more of a GT car. Whilst with this, it's different. It's purpose built, it's 2 seats, barely has a boot, engine at the back. It's a no-nonsense car. And yes, with the right tunes, etc., the Audi TT is faster, maybe even around the track. But it's all about how it makes you feel, a sense of occasion, you know, especially now that we've got into this electric era. How it feels is more important to me personally than how fast it goes. Because let's be honest, in this day and age, if you want a fast car with interesting pub torque, you have to buy a Tesla. Let's just enjoy these cars while we can.